Well, hello, happy Friday, and I'm here live with you guys today. I want to share a little bit about some of the realities of starting a coaching business and a little bit of my own story as well. I had a question come into my inbox yesterday, and a lovely, lovely newer coach who is actually struggling in her business. And she messaged me asking, to ask me some questions, and also shared some just vulnerable things that she's been going through in her first year in online coaching, and, wanted me to share sort of my journey and some of the things that I'd been through and some tips to help, her kind of get through this time. And I wanted to share some of the things that I'd gone through in my coaching business. And it actually, her question inspired me to do this live because I feel like, I know on social media, we see the highlight reels of most people's business. I think more and more people are starting to get real on social media and share their real journeys and share vulnerabilities and share things that are happening, good and bad, in their business. And I think that that's amazing. And I hope that as an industry as a whole, we do more of that because, hey Shirley, hey Jenny, that we do more of this because I think it's dangerous to only share the good stuff. And the reason I feel like that's dangerous is that there's a lot of newer coaches coming into this industry who have such value and have such amazing things to share and many people to help in their businesses, with their businesses, but they feel like they're not good enough or that they can't do it because all they're seeing is highlight reel. And then they feel like they're not enough and that they're not good enough. And so when this question came into my inbox the other day, one of the vulnerabilities that she shared was that she felt like she maybe needed to go back to a 9-to-5, which she didn't want to do because she has young kids at home. And she felt like maybe she should take on some side work, but then felt shame and felt like that wasn't something she should do because it means that she's like, not doing her coaching business. She's trying to do something else. And that really, that's what really inspired me to do this because as a coach, as somebody who has, what might seem on the outside like a successful business, and I am having success and it's amazing, but I've also had a lot of really shitty times in my business. And I take on side work. I take on side work all the time. And if I can help somebody and I have the time to do it, extra stream of income, absolutely. No shame, no stories. And so I obviously shared that with her to, yes, do what you need to do in order to make your business work. No shame in taking on the side work. And that's what made me go like, wait a minute, we need to have a discussion here so that people understand, what it really takes to build this business, to build any kind of online business, but especially in the coaching thing, that there are times where things are going to be maybe not so stable. And if you need to take on other work so that you can stay home with your kids and build your business, by all means, do it. No shame, no stories. And so that's kind of what got me triggered and was like, okay, wait, we need to discuss this. We need to talk about this. And so what I want to share with you in this live today is I'm going to share with you some of the great things that have happened in my business, but I'm also going to share with you some of the crappy things that have happened in my journey so that you can see that whatever highlight reels you're seeing, and don't get me wrong, I love celebrating. I'm celebrating my own milestone this month in my business, celebrating our largest revenue generating month yet. And then the month isn't even over and I'm super excited about that. But I want you to hear some of the things that I've been through to get here. And that it's, really in the big scheme of things, to really make this work, it's a matter of a willingness to stick with it and keep going, even when things feel like they're falling apart and not working. And I actually think that's part of the secret sauce to making it work, is to keep going when things don't feel like they're working, right? They always say the breakthrough is on the other side of a breakdown. And if you are in that space right now, feeling like, I don't know if I can do this. This isn't working for me. This isn't happening for me right now. I want you to know is you've got to keep going. You've got to keep going, but you can do whatever it is you need to do in that moment to pay the bills, in that moment to be able to be home with your kids. If that means taking on some part-time work, if that means doing whatever it is you need to do in order to to keep going and to be able to still fulfill your dream, girl, do it. Do it. Do it. Because your dream is too important not to. And so some of the things that I've gone through, and yeah, Shirley, I agree, we need to have more of these conversations, right? Because it's not all roses. And if you are being told that it's easy to do this and that you get to just, feel positive and not hustle and your business will grow, that's a lie. You have to hustle. There is going to be times where you are working at your computer late at night. There are going to be times where you're working on weekends. There are going to be times when you don't even know what you're doing and you're just kind of like throwing the spaghetti against the wall and you feel like what the hell, right? Like many days in my business, I've had that. And you can see this gets me fired up because I am so passionate about authenticity and integrity and vulnerability, like being vulnerable about what it really takes to make it in the coaching business, make it in the coaching world, or any entrepreneurial space, to be honest. Because if it wasn't for me hearing other stories of vulnerability, that's the stuff that gets me to keep going, because I hear other people saying they struggled too, but they kept going and it came together, right? So some of the things that I've gone through in my business, first of all, when I started my coaching business, at a time financially where we had less than enough money every month. Like we were struggling to pay our mortgage, we were struggling to pay our bills, which is one of the motivators for me starting my coaching business when I started it back in 2016. You guys, I hired my first coach, my very first coach that I hired, Bob Heilig. It was $3,000 US. I didn't have any of that money. I had to call my mom on the phone and ask her if I could borrow one of her credit cards to pay for my first coach. And that's that's not an easy thing to do. That is not, talk about feeling like all the feelings. But my business and where I was going meant more to me than anything. So I was willing to do whatever it took in order to hire that coach, because I knew that he had the answers I needed to quantum leap my coaching business, to get me into the space, to get me into the arena, to get me into that world, to start making money as an online coach. So I borrowed that credit card. I paid for that coach. You guys, that changed my whole entire life. I launched my first brand, which was Girlfriend's Guide to Network Marketing back then. And that's what literally started my coaching business. Within a matter of a year and a half or so, we were making 6 figures in that business. So yeah, that really tough time of having to, go and ask for that money to pay for that coach, not knowing what kind of results I was going to get, not knowing if I was going to make the money back to pay my mom, like not knowing any of that stuff, just trusting that I would figure it out. And that was probably the first real big hurdle that I had in my coaching business, was paying for my first coach, which is why I now, that experience, you guys, this is the thing, these obstacles that you're going through in your businesses, these are setting you up to learn things that you can then teach other people, or that you can learn for yourself. Now, when it comes to investing in a coach, even if I don't have all the money, I have faith and trust that I will figure it out, because guess what? I've done it before. I did it before. I figured it out. I can do it again. Right? So it's taught me, and then I get to teach that to my clients and my students. So these struggles that we go through, they teach us things. So that was my very first, big challenge in my business, was affording that first coach. Then my second coach, again, I only had the first payment for her. I had started to make some money, but it was a bigger investment. It was $10,000 US for that second coach. And I only had, I think at the time I paid her $1,700 to get started. I had no idea where the rest of the money was coming from. I just trusted, and she had answers that I wanted. She's the one who taught me how to do my first group coaching program. You guys, within a matter of 30 days of starting with her, I launched my very first group coaching program and had my very first 10K month. But what I want you to see on the highlight reel, you see, oh, great, she had her first 10K month. But what you didn't see was the fear, the scarcity, the like, oh my God, am I doing this? I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm creating this group program. I've never done this before. Scared out of my mind. That's the stuff that you don't see. But that's the stuff that created the 10K month. And I think that that's what gets lost in translation sometimes, is that in order for us to get the results that we desire, we got to do things that make us really uncomfortable. We got to do things that literally scare the shit of us. We got to do things that take the stability out of our ground, that leave us feeling like, what the heck's going on? Those are the moments that grow us. Those are the moments that quantum leap us to where we want to go. Like, quantum leaps don't happen in this like perfectly strategic, planned out, mapped out way. Quantum leaps happen like, it's ugly, it's messy, it's like fugly. You don't know what's going on. You're just like you're just taking action. And then all of a sudden one day you're like in this spot where you're having your biggest month ever, and you're like, how did we get here? And then you look back and you go, oh yeah, we went through all that shit. That's how we got here, right? Like, this is what I want you to hear. Here's another thing that happened to me in my coaching business. I spent all summer, the summer of 2018, I spent 2 months building out an online course that I thought my audience wanted. 2 months making modules, doing all the things, the landing pages, the funnels, you name it, everything. And I did the masterclass. I launched it with this amazing masterclass, this webinar. You guys, I had this many people buy that program. Zero sales. I had a whole launch with 0 sales, right? Like, talk about feeling like a total failure. Talk about feeling like you don't belong in this industry. Nobody bought your program, Shayna. You're like, all the things went through my head. But that taught me in that moment, that obstacle, that thing, which made me feel like shit in the moment, made me stop and go, wait, what am I doing here? Am I coaching the right thing? Like, that's where I made my first pivot. That's where I realized I needed to make my first pivot. And that's when I went from coaching network marketing to coaching online business. So even in the moment, that felt really shitty, and it felt like I was a failure, and it felt like I had no idea what I was doing. That breakdown was actually setting me up for a breakthrough, because I moved into a new direction, and that literally changed the game for me again. So these moments that are challenging us, that make us feel like sometimes that we're not good enough, flip the script. Ask yourself, what am I supposed to be learning right now? What am I supposed to be doing with this right now? What is this teaching me? And listen, and then take action, right? Like, this is the thing. Because the other thing I see, is I feel like a lot of coaches, I posted about this today. I feel like there's a lot of coaches out there who are struggling in their businesses because they're not finding the clients and they're not getting the sales. But when you look at what they're doing, or when you look at the actions you're actually taking, are you showing up? Are you doing this kind of stuff? Are you posting things that that your audience wants to hear? Are you showing up and sharing with the world that you exist? Right? Are you being able to be seen? Because you can't find clients if you're not being out there, and they can't find you, right? Like, if you're not doing shit like this, and you're not putting yourself out there and giving value and being vulnerable and sharing value that your audience would want to hear, how can they find you and how can they buy from you? Right? So read my post today if that's something that you feel like, you know it. And here's the thing, it. Like, if you're not showing up, if you're feeling scared about hitting the live button or posting that thought or sharing your feelings on that, if you're not showing up consistently in your social media. Like, if you really want this to work for you, you have got to show up. You have got to be seen. People need to know know you exist, know what you have to offer in order for them to be able to buy from you. And if you're not sure what you offer, and if you're not sure who you should be talking to or what you should be saying, then you really need to do the work on getting clear on your niche and the results that you provide. That's critical. I believe that knowing your niche and getting super specific with who you want to work with is critical for your success. The minute that I made the decision that I wanted to work with new coaches and help them create their business and launch their signature program, and that has been my messaging, and you can scroll through my Instagram and you can go back for the last 3 months. That's all I've been talking about. You guys, that clarity and the consistency of me showing up every day talking about something that has to do with new coaches and getting through their fears and their doubts, that consistency is what led to the month that we're having this month. But I want you to know that prior to me getting that clarity and being consistent in my social media, I was actually lost for a few months. There was a few months from June until September that I wasn't selling anything. I felt that instability again. I had made a pivot at the beginning of 2020 to start focusing on mindset coaching, which I do love, and I still teach mindset to my clients. But I realized in that moment that something wasn't right, and I had to take a step back in my business and not sell anything for a few months in order to gain the clarity of going, okay, wait a minute, I'm losing what I'm here for. I know my passion is to help people start businesses, help coaches. Once I regain that clarity, fucking game on. It's been game on ever since that I got to that space. And that's what's changed the game for me, because now I'm showing up with a clear message. I know what I'm here to do. So if you need help with that clarity and that message, send me a DM. I have a tool that'll help you get that specificity for your niche. And it's super helpful, and it will help you really drill down and figure that out. But that's part of the process. That's part of what's going to make your business successful. Is you need to be seen. You need to be out there. And I know that sometimes this can be really scary, but that's one of those fears that if you feel that fear of showing up, that's actually an indication of where you need to go. Right? In my post that I wrote today, I said, we all have skills, talents, and abilities within us that you don't even know you have yet. But the only way that you can discover what abilities you have is to start taking action into the unknown, to start doing things that feel scary, to start doing things like this maybe that you've never done before. Gosh, my first live, that's the other thing. You got to be willing to do the actions that are scary and unknown to you to learn about the abilities and the skills that you have. And you also have to be willing to be really bad at them. Really bad. Really, really bad at them at first, and be okay with it. Like, my first live that I did on Instagram especially, I was like a freaking robot. I had notes taped all over my screens, and I was trying to read the notes, and it was like horrible. You could probably find it in my things. I'm like ridiculous. And it took me a few times of doing this to go, you know what, Shayna? They don't want robot. They don't want scripts. They just want to hear what you have to say, how you have to say it. People want to hear from you. They want to know what you have to say. And I remember one of my coaches said to me once, it was Amber Lillystrom, she said, when I was telling her what I wanted to do with my coaching business, she said, and I had those fears and those doubts, she said, Shayna, there are people out there waiting for you. And there are people out there waiting for you, but they can't find you if you're not showing up. They can't hear you if you're not speaking. Your voice has a unique tone that is needed in this world. And there are people out there who are going to be attracted to your business, to you. There are, how many millions of business coaches there are out there? Like, I am not the only business coach. But there are people who will work with me because they relate with me. There are people who won't work with me because they don't relate with me. And that's okay, because there's enough people for all of us. But if you're struggling in your business and you're wondering why you don't have clients, ask yourself, am I showing up? And when I say, am I showing up, I don't mean posting once and then gone for 4 days, or just doing 3 posts and not showing up in your stories, or not having any social media presence and then you show up and then you're gone again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to be consistent, right? If you're using social media to build your coaching business, which you should, because it's basically free marketing, You should be showing up and sharing value for your audience. You should be showing up and being vulnerable and sharing your thoughts and your feelings around what your niche needs. That's imperative. So people are out there waiting for you, but they can't find you if you're not showing up. Some other things that I've done in my business, just to be real while we're having this conversation. And hey, Jessica. Yeah, if you know any coaches that need to hear this, please tag them in this, because I don't know what else I'm going to say. And who knows, this could be whatever. Just if you know anyone who needs this reality check, please share this video. The other thing that I've done is I've completely self-sabotaged my business more than once. And I'm sure that there's some people out there who can relate to this. Things start getting going. They start actually going good. And I'm like, this is great. People are buying my programs. People are signing up for my things. Oh, you know what? I think I need to switch gears. Yeah, I think I need to switch gears. I think I need to go get this certification because I'm really no good without the certification. So I'm going to go get the certification and then I'm going to completely change my business and start over. Yeah, that's this girl. Done that. I've done that twice in my business. And I realized this is what I want you to ask yourself. Here's a question. Is what are the patterns that are showing up in your life that aren't serving you? Like, do you have, and maybe you don't know if they're serving you or not, but what are the patterns? Just noticing the patterns in general. This past year, I noticed a pattern of me doing that. Me finding success, me sabotaging it. Me getting successful, me sabotaging it. Me getting successful, sabotage. I've done that multiple times in my life. So not only do you have to recognize the patterns, once I started seeing that pattern in my life, then you got to do the work. Right? Then you got to go inward and start looking at, why am I doing this? What am I getting out of this is really what I want you to ask yourself. What am I getting out of this? Why do I do this? See, for me, I recognized childhood trauma stuff, that I had a fear around money. For me, money didn't feel safe. When I had money, I would get rid of it. So I had to do the work on that. I've had some great coaches. Cassie Biltz has done some hypnosis stuff for me. It's been incredible. But I had to do that work and I had to look at those things. You guys, looking at that shit is not easy, right? So if you are a coach who's struggling right now and you've been struggling for months and months and months, what's the pattern there? What is the thing? Look at it. Shine a light on it. When you shine a light on the things that are not so fun in your life, you actually, they can't hide anymore. It has no power. It loses its power. So for me, that was a big thing that is struggling in my business. I had to look at, why was I creating this struggle? Because I was the one. You got to take 100% responsibility for yourself and your business. If you're not where you want to be, it's you. Okay? I'm going to say that again. If you are not where you want to be, it's you. It's nobody else. It's you. So what is the repeating patterns that are showing up in your business that it's time to shine a light on those things? Now, I'm not an expert in the shadow work stuff. I've just started doing this work myself, but you guys, I'm already seeing a difference. So make a commitment to doing that work, being okay with looking at the dark sides of what's going on, because once you shine the light on it, literally you bring it into your consciousness and it loses its power. And that's my experience of what I've been going through this past year. Yeah. You guys, there's just so many things. I just want you to know, I could talk all day about all the things that have gone, awry in my business. But the biggest thing that I want you to hear from me is that regardless of all of the things that have gone wrong, like months with no income, months with big income, and then spending it all, being in debt, not being able to pay a coach, a couple months in a row and having to figure things out. Like, you guys, I've been there. I've done it all. And I'm not saying that that's going to be everybody's journey. It's not. Everybody's journey is going to be different. But what I want you to hear is that despite all of those things, I kept going anyway. I figured it out. I just kept moving, because this conversation we're having and the work that I do for coaches is more important to me than all of those freaking little things that really don't mean squat at the end. They're just obstacles to overcome. They're just lessons for me to learn so that I can turn around and then help my clients go through those things, right? All of this stuff is teachable moments. These are all teachable moments. So if you're feeling that struggle right now, one, look inward. That's number one. If there's something that's not working in your business, you've got to look at yourself and go, you got to take responsibility for it 100% and go, what is it about this situation? Like, what am I thinking about it? What am I doing about it? What are my thoughts about it? Or what am I not doing about it, right? And then you got to start really taking action. And I'm talking not just regular action. I'm not talking like just like, okay, I'll post today and I'll do this, whatever. What bold action out of your comfort zone, things that you've never done before, something that makes you sweat, can you start doing to push yourself forward? That's where quantum leaps are made. They're made in the bold actions because there's so much that you don't even know you're capable of. And you won't know you're capable of it until you start doing the thing. It's true. Until you make the scary investment, until you do press the live button, until you promote your program for the first time. You guys, one of the lessons I learned, I'm jumping around, so if you're just joining me, you have to go back and watch this, but I launched a program that nobody bought. The lesson I learned from that is you launch your program first and you don't create anything. You get the basis of what your program's going to be about, but you launch it before you create a single stitch of content to make sure that people want it, make sure that people buy it. I learned that lesson. I learned it the hard way, but I learned it, right? And so now I teach it. So that's the thing. You've got to take those bold actions out of your comfort zone because that's where the lessons are and that's where the growth is. So you've got to do that. You've got to be coachable and you've got to be resourceful. So if right now you're struggling, you've got to get some help. That's the biggest thing I can say is you don't have to go this alone. You've got to get some help. I don't know what that looks like for you. If it's hiring a coach, if it's, reaching out to a friend, if it's, I don't know, I don't know what the answer is for you, but you do need to ask for help. This is not something that you need to go through alone. And if you do need to hire the coach, you'll figure it out. If there's a will, there is a way. Trust me. Borrowed my mom's credit card to pay for my first coach, right? So you need to get some help and you also need to be resourceful, right? Being resourceful has been probably one of the biggest assets to my business is being resourceful. That means, figuring things out if I needed to on my own, on like figuring out software things or figuring out what to post or those kinds of things, figuring out where I was going to get the money for something, figuring out, what my program was going to be about, but trusting myself to figure it out. Right. So be coachable and also be resourceful. And then, be willing to suck at this for a while, right? Like if you are afraid to put yourself out there, if you're afraid to launch your program, if you're afraid to do those things, just do them. Like I could say one of the biggest things that I think is going to help you find what you are looking for in your business, find those results in your business, is that messy action. Like that is, my business is built off messy action. Trust me, everything I was doing was like, I would get the advice from the coach, I would go do the thing, and I would go throw it out there. And some things worked really well, some things not so much, and then I would learn, and then I would do it again, and I would do it again, right? So the biggest thing I can say is get out there and do the thing. Shirley says that was the biggest lesson you taught me. Scary as shit, but a good lesson. It's so true. So true. So do the thing. But anyways, the whole point of this video is that if you are struggling right now as an online coach, if you're new and you're just feeling like things aren't totally working for you, just take a look inward and ask yourself, is there something that I'm not doing? Is there something that I should, that I'm feeling the fear around and I'm not pushing myself to do? Because I guarantee you that's where you need to look. That's where you need to go. And then the second thing is get some help. Like who can you turn to get some help to figure out, what maybe your next steps could be, or help to get some clarity on your strategy, or help figuring out what that might look like for you, what your next steps are. And then 3, just start doing the stuff. Just start showing up. What are other coaches doing? And look at what they're doing, the other successful coaches doing. And are you seeing that they're doing things that you're not doing? Right? Most likely there's stuff, right? So, you've just got to keep going. You've just got to keep going. And here's the thing, if you've got to take side jobs, if you've got to do VA work, if you've got to do whatever while you're trying to build your business to get the funds to do the thing, freaking do it, girl. Like, do it. Nobody cares. Multiple streams of income is where it's at anyways. So go for it. I've done it. I still do it. Other coaches do it. You just do what you've got to do to make it work. And that's the bottom line. That's really the bottom line. So anyways, I'm rambling. I hope that this was helpful, and I appreciate the question because this is a really powerful and important conversation. And you guys, you can see I didn't do this perfectly. I was rambling. I was all over the place, but you know what? We're here and we're doing this, and that's what matters. So what can you do today to put yourself out there, to share your voice, to share your message, to be vulnerable, and get out there and start being heard? And that's probably the 8th biggest message I've given you out of this whole video. I'm like, the biggest thing you need to do, the biggest thing you need to do. And then I say something different and then something different, because there's so many big things. Just get out there and do the work. And I promise you, you're going to start to see results. Consistency is absolute key. There's another big thing, being that consistent message. So, okay, I'm going to stop rambling now, but thank you guys for joining me live. If you know any new coaches who just need this wake up call, who just need to hear this message so that they don't give up, so that they don't quit, please share this video with them. I hope that this message resonates and helps them to know that they are needed in this world and somebody is waiting for them, and their voice it needs to be heard, and their message needs to be heard. So that's it for me, guys. Happy Friday. I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks for those of you guys who are joining me live, and I love to hear from you in the comments. So, all right, that's it for me. Bye for now.